Welcome. Continuing from our last file, I've made a selection for you. We're in PS Basic Selections, Quick Selection B.psd. If you go into the Select menu and you click Load Selection, you can load a selection that you've previously saved. I saved mine as Refined Edge Test. Just click OK, and you're going to see a selection that we've made. I've made a couple errors here purposely. Anytime you have any of the selection tools selected, you'll see the Refine Edge button. But if you have something like the eraser or other tools, you'll see that the button disappears, even though you have your selection. So just go back and choose one of the selection tools. Choose Refine Edge, which will open up the Refine Edge dialog box here. And you have a couple options. First, you can zoom into an area if you want. Double-click the hand tool to fit in view. You can choose different ways of looking at your selection. You can look as an overlay, which is kind of hard to see because I have almost the same color. You can choose black, white. You can look at the mask itself. You can look at the layer and the actual layer that you're using. Okay, these also have shortcuts. So let's go back to look at the marching ants here, which is shortcut M. And just to show you, you can click in an empty spot to get rid of that menu. But if I were to go B is black, R is reveal the layers, M is marching ants. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is called the edge detection. So we're moving in a top to down fashion. Okay. This is the radius. So the first thing you're going to do is increase your radius. I'm going to make an estimation of maybe 4.5. Okay. Now what this radius does, it says, and I'm going to show you here. What the radius does, it says it increases the amount of distance that Photoshop is going to use to analyze what is the selection edge. So it's going to say, okay, this gentleman has said 4.5. I'm going to look 4.5 pixels this way. I'm going to look 4.5 pixels this way. Watch what happens if I increase it. As you can see, it gets really wide. Now for hair, which we'll do on the second tutorial, you can use higher setting, but things that are have a nice crisp edge, you're going to use a lower radius setting. So we'll say maybe 4.5. I'm going to uncheck this so I can see the image again. Okay. And then the next thing that you're going to do is I'm going to go back to hit B so I can see where I messed up at. And I'm going to use this tool right here. If I click on Smart Radius, which basically tightens up things, as you can see in this picture, it's already tightened up around everything except for these two areas. So Smart Radius on this tutorial would not be a wise thing to use. And if you just click it, you'll see. It doesn't really do anything. Okay, Smart Radius is for if two parts of your photo, one is one of the selections is around a crisp edge and the other one is around hair. Smart Radius is going to say, oh, let me make the one around the crisp edge a little bit tighter, but around your hair a little bit less tighter. Okay, I hope that explains it, but I'll go more in depth in the second tutorial. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this thing right here, which is a Refine Radius tool. This basically says, look, I know you're looking here, but I'm going to tell you where else you can look to make your decision. Okay, you have two choices. You can either add to it or you can subtract to it. Okay, shortcut is E. So if you just press E, I'm sorry, okay. If you just press E, you can go back and forth, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, look, I'm going to drag up here, I'm going to tell Photoshop, look, analyze this area. And watch what happens, it disappears. Because now it knows it can go further out from the initial 4.7 pixels and look to see if this is part of the selection or not, and analyze it. And instantly it's gone. Now, one of the next things I would do is probably come to adjust edge, and maybe I would zoom in 100% here and see if see how my edges are. Maybe I need to smooth it, probably not on this one. Feather it, I probably don't need to feather it, not even the contrast. Contrast sharpens it up basically. I don't even need to do that really, maybe a little bit. Shift edge is interesting. Shift edge is the one you're going to use mostly with the hair. That basically expands the selection or contracts the selection. So watch what happens. As you can see, it's letting that false area that I did back in. But if you contract it too much, look what happens. Ugh, it's very creepy. It can take away too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand it just a little. There we go. And this output down here is interesting. It says when you select decontaminate colors, what's going to happen is it's actually going to change out the pixels and try to get rid of that background layer color coming through onto your symbol here. But just so you know that once you select this, you only have a couple options here. You don't have selection or layer mask. You only have these options because this is actually changing pixels in a destructive way. So that's why it's going to tell you new layer with layer mask. I'm going to deselect that because I do not need to do that. But if you want to, I can do it to 100. Let me see here. Press the check mark. Okay, maybe I actually do. Okay. You can remember the settings so you can come back to them again and not start all over. And I'm going to choose new layer with layer mask. Click OK. And as you can see here, I put it a new layer with the new layer mask so it doesn't hurt the other layer that I copied and changed the linear light. In the next lesson, we're going to learn how to select hair.